What's up, everyone, and welcome to Tide Talk, the Rhode Island FC podcast that's for the fans, by the fans. I'm your host, Matt, and whether you're a day one sicko or new to RIFC, you found your home. Every episode, we're breaking down the latest from Rhode Island FC, the matches, the moments, the players, and everything happening in and around the club. Before we dive in, make sure you're following Tide Talk across all of our social media accounts. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky, and everywhere else you scroll. Stay locked in for updates, exclusive content, and all things Rhode Island FC. If you're joining us on YouTube, please say hi in the chat. Take a second, hit that like button, and share your thoughts with us. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, please take a second to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating and a short review. It helps more people find the podcast, helps us grow, and bring you even better content each and every single week. All right, let's cozy up, crack a beer, and dive into this one. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Mr. Ryan Healy, who just crushed our website redesign. So if you have not been to TideTalkRI.com lately, go check it out. I think it's a thing of beauty. It's one of the better sports-adjacent websites I've seen. And I didn't even know we had a website.
That is extremely kind, my friend. But yeah, no, very excited. I think, we have this beautiful new brand. We have this, a lot of hard work going on the blogging side of things. So you got to give those guys, a canvas that is worthy of what they're writing.
That's true, and double out
once
duty
my hands
for
got
us.
Once my hands got to day 35 of the World Cup, I was like, we should probably do something about this.
Yeah, and he's exploring all of the keyboard shortcuts and all of that, and ready to get it rolling and really get the blog enhanced and taken to a whole nother level. It's a Thursday, double duty for us this week with a midweek match, 10:30 Eastern time start. I do have to poke fun at my friend Ryan here, as he was the first Tide Talk member to fall asleep mid-match.
Damn straight. Also, I'm happy I did because my son decided to not sleep the rest of the night. So that 45-minute gap was really nice for me.
Are you blaming it on baby duty or the quality of play that we saw last night?
Oh, I mean, the reason I fell asleep the first time was very much quality of play. That's for certain. Yeah,
for sure. A tough one to watch, a tough one to stay awake for. I might be to blame. I realized I drank a West Coast IPA last night. Maybe that helped fuel Sacramento. I don't know.
You know what? So did I.
Yeah. So
shit, this is our fault.
You can blame us. Big beer conspiracy starting now. You heard it first.
It's odd though. I drank a West Coast IPA that was made by a Rhode Island brewery. So it should have
balanced out. So maybe mine, superseded.
Okay, good.
That.
It wasn't great. Yeah. You take the blame.
Yeah, but I couldn't even put on an RAFC merch today for the pod. It looks like you just have the hat. So it was a dooming night overall, and we're here to share all of our thoughts and your thoughts on that one. I will say before we do kind of get going, I do want to give Sacramento FC credit. I know when we come on here, although we were very, very bad, but when we come on here and we talk about a game after Orange County and Hartford, usually about the way teams play, Sacramento goes out and plays. They don't really flop. They don't really dive like we saw with Orange County. They go out there and they play football. So I think that was kind of refreshing to see, although that did not last long.
No, I mean, the game honestly was pretty chaotic, which I was not expecting. We've faced Sacramento a few times, and they're very every single year they're kind of in the race for the Golden Glove Award, Vidiello. Mm-hmm. They usually are kind of one of the teams that gives up the least amount of goals. So I was expecting this to be honestly a pretty big slog. But honestly, both teams were, especially RFC, were really sloppy. It felt like, and it kind of made the game a bit more exciting in a way that I did not want to be excited.
All right, so we'll start diving into this. Here's your starting 11. Koke Vegas, Aldair Sanchez gets back into the starting 11. Hugo Baccarat, Grant Stoneman, Leo Afonso, JJ Williams, Noah Fuson. Ryan, we talked about this last one. Was he due for a start? And I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Noah throughout this one. Frank Nodarce, Nick Scardina, Karifa Yao, and Amos Shapiro Thompson. Happy with that 11, Ryan?
Yeah, it was really interesting because I think going into this, the big question was okay, we have this midweek game, then we have the final Prinks Tire USL Cup.
We can only wish.
I could only wish it was still Jaeger this weekend. So it was really like, what's Kano going to do before this, 3 games in the span of basically a week. So, not surprising that we saw some new names in here. We also know that Clay Holstad ended up on the injury report. We've seen Harabow and Giop stay on the injury report. So with the people available, I don't think this was a crazy lineup. A couple players who like Joe Jaya and Apiti got some rest in the midweek, but overall there wasn't a ton that Kano could do here.
We've got Sacramento fan William Lamb in the chat. This is why coming to Heart Health Park, where Sacramento Republic plays, gives RIFC a harsher environment. Lots of fans cheering the home team every time. William, can you confirm in the chat, was that a water slide we saw off in the distance? Ryan was very intrigued by this throughout the duration of the match. It looked pretty cool. He thought it was a fort at first, but it did appear to be a water slide. So if you can let us know in the chat if you guys do indeed have a water slide at Heart Health Park, that's pretty cool stuff.
Thank you so much. That is literally in my notes to ask. So thank you.
Matt Jeans here. Late, I know, but we call it the Jack Daniels Cup now. Jack Daniels, an official partner of Defiant 1636. If you're not a member of Defiant 1636, I would join today because there were some pretty cool announcements in the member exclusive area of the Discord talking about this Jack Daniels partnership and what Saturday is going to look like. And I'm pretty excited about that, Ryan.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but overall, like, I'm just psyched. I was a big Jack Daniels guy in college, after college. So this, a nice little flashback for me being, back in Providence where it all happened. So
for sure. And William did confirm in the chat, it is a former water park. I think they need to get like a mascot going down the slide after goals, similar to, is it the Brewers and MLB that do that after a home run? The mascot goes down the slide, right?
Well, my only concern though is he says former water park. William, again, are these slides operational? That's what I need to know. True.
And Han said the stadium is on the state fairgrounds, so I wouldn't be surprised. So that is cool stuff. So even if they're not operational, you see all these kids going around doing urban exploring. Send a mascot down there, make it work, make it happen. Early on, thoughts on this one, Ryan? Sacramento with a lot of possession, which I think kind of shaped out well for the recipe for success for Rhode Island, but there was a lot of sloppy play with this.
Yeah, well, actually, before we get into the beginning of the match, just with the lineup still up, how did you think when you read all these names out, like, how did you think we were going to line up?
Yeah, that's a very good point too. I mean, you had to figure it was definitely going to be Grant and Yao at the center back pairing. I kind of expected to see Aldair play a little bit more forward with Nick on the right, playing right back, and Frank playing left back. That's kind of how I, saw that back shaping out into the attack. Also with Aldair, getting him forward against his former club, I thought was maybe a good thing to kind of get him juiced up, especially being as fresh as he was with, not seeing as many minutes as he has lately, especially with the break. And then we saw that last time out against Orange County. How about you?
I mean, I had basically the way we set up is one of the only ways I didn't think we'd actually play, which ended up with kind of Aldair as you're mentioning at that left wing spot. Thought we were either going to play a back three with Aldair and Scardina on the kind of wing back roles, or we're going to see Grant Stoneman returning to midfield. So those were kind of the two options that I thought we were going to see, and as you mentioned, it was neither of those two, which very interesting. I don't know that I loved it, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely interesting. But like I said early on, it was very Sacramento Republic heavy. I also will say the Indianapolis Homer broadcast, I didn't mind the commentators they had on the Sac Republic feed last night. We did mind the ads, which we'll talk about a little bit later for sure. But I thought those guys did pretty good. Rhode Island FC, if you're watching, listening, Ryan and I will put a polo on and be the voice, or ESPN. Let us know. Sean St. Jock, call us. We'll get in there.
We will put on the most Homer broadcast you've ever seen. Brian Scalabrine, he would blush.
We'll make those indie guys look, like they're not biased at all.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, early going, I think, again, I keep mentioning this game, and I think I'm probably going to say this 12 times on the show, is it just felt very sloppy. I think our pass accuracy in the first half was like in the 60% range. So it just shows like we, number one, didn't have the ball, and anytime we got it, we just could not hold on to it. Not super surprising considering kind of who we took out of the team. A lot of players like a Jojea, like a Clay, who kind of give us a bit more control. They were kind of swapped out. And you had a bunch of guys, honestly, who either haven't played a ton or haven't really played where they lined up last night. So some rust, some unfamiliarity potentially, but overall, I just didn't feel like we kind of came out like ready to play.
I said last episode, it kind of worried me. I think, although I wasn't impressed with Orange County at all, I failed to see how they are top of the West. I know points don't lie, but I did think maybe the cross-country trip did play a part in that, and I think maybe that could have also played a part in RIFC's poor performance last night. Like you said, sloppy early, pass accuracy, struggling to get on the ball. A common theme that I'll bring up in this one is JJ taking long throws to no one, and then when it gets flicked out clear, he's the one crossing it into the spot where he should be. If you are going to remove JJ Williams from the long throw situation, stop doing long throws. Just go back to the normal throw, back to a short throw, to a quick cross, get it into the big fella in the box.
I have to say, like, not to pat ourselves on the back too hard, we've been on this for a while now. Like, we've been like team, like.
Well, we saw Clay come back with the the hand, but obviously I think Clay's going to be out for a while with the leg injury. But just switch it up.
Well, there's just no point to it. Like, your most lethal aerial weapon is not in the box, and we've seen literally since again, to your point, Clay swapped in for JJ once his hand got fixed. Like, we all of a sudden started being really dangerous on those. So like, we just were never dangerous. We made the switch, very dangerous, and then just not dangerous at all again. So it just is one of those things that, like, we're only doing it because it's like the thing that's in trend right now versus something that's actually effective for RIFC.
Yeah,
and quite frankly, you could say that about a lot of our tactics if we want to get real cranky on this episode. Like, we're doing a lot of things that like seem kind of cool, but they're absolutely not helping.
Right.
Switching the wingers, all that shit, like, isn't doing anything besides like, kind of a fun little wrinkle in the game.
I also struggle to believe that JJ is the only one that can execute a long throw. Is his throw the longest? Probably. Your next best option is, probably Hugo in the box, because you're probably not pushing up your defenders all the way on those long throws. But the ball gets kicked out and cleared out very easily, comes back to him most of the time. And then, like I said, he's lumping across into the spot where he should be. And there's just nobody there. There's nobody there for it. So that's the second tier to that really drives me up a wall.
Who, if you had to just take a random guess, who would be like the third long throw taker? Who's your guy?
I would think Hugo could rifle one in there. He's a big dude, strong dude.
The only fear though with Hugo is I don't think he grew up playing like handball sports.
True, that's fair, but like I said, he's just a big, strong dude, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Amos. Like,
I got a sleeper pick.
Kevin Vang,
Nick Scardina.
Yeah, I mean, somebody else has to be able to do it, and if they can't, or even if it's not as long as JJ's, wink, wink. Maybe someone else can get one in serviceably as long, and that.
I also just want to like really reiterate that there is no legal obligation for us to do a long throw.
Yes.
Like, in the final third, we could very much not do it, and like the game will still go on. We do not lose a goal. Like, there's nothing bad that happens.
That's the perfect pin in the cushion to this conversation. Before we get going and display what happens next, please smash that like button, because there's not too much to like after the next couple of clips. Ryan's got fireworks. I love it. But in the 19th minute, Sacramento Republic did get on the board first, and here was the goal that led to that.
Republic kind of a quality look on these set pieces so far tonight. Mark Anthony Kay's got all kinds of room here. He might wind up. He's going to set it to the top. Here's Edwards. Makes the deflection. It went across the line. Sacramento able to get on the board. A heads-up play. Kyle Edwards. Vegas couldn't get to it, and Adam Republic have got their first goal of the 19th minute.
And they've been knocking on the door, Sacramento. It just felt it was a matter of time, and it's a good ball in by Mark Anthony Kay. You think the goalkeeper should be getting that. Kyle Edwards doing what all good strikers do. Put your head in there, might take a punch. And it's very hard to get that on target. He's done so well, Kyle Edwards. Doesn't know much about it. It crosses the line. And Vegas despairingly can't save it. And Republic take a well-deserved lead.
So we'll talk Koke in a second, but the first thing is a disturbing continuing trend for me. You look at Mark Anthony Kaye and the amount of space and time he has to play that ball in. I think it's Noah that finally closes him down near the end there. But he's in acres of space. He has plenty of time on the ball. That's a beautiful ball in from a center back too. Very well weighted, lofted ball in there. But we've seen this time and time again with Rhode Island FC. They fail to close down on the opposition. That leads to a good ball that creates a good chance, and usually end result is a goal like this.
Yeah, just a really ugly play all around. As you said, something that we just have not seen us consistently do, especially this year. I feel like this. I don't remember this being as big of a problem, but we've seen all year that we just aren't closing down both on the cross and, as we're going to see in a second, on the shot, like longer range shot attempts as well. We seem very happy for them to put one in, and Koke just has to do significantly better on this. Like that is a.
What do you think that was? Was he between two mindsets of punching and catching, and the contact threw him off at the end there?
Has to be. Maybe he didn't think like Edwards had that kind of leap. Like he definitely gets up there. Like Koke barely has his hands like up there. So it's definitely a great leap, a great cross. But at the end of the day, like Koke has to do better there.
I think you had a pretty epic line in our chat when this goal went in. Do you remember what it was? Because I sure did.
No, please remind me.
You wrote, "This is going to make for a really awkward bobblehead night on Saturday."
Yeah. Excited to get one though. The chip needs a friend back here. That's for sure.
True. Definitely one Koke would want to get back. Like I said, I think he's stuck between two mindsets there, and I think the contact absolutely threw him off. But I think that's the ball he should comfortably catch.
100%. And so you also made a comment in the chat about when this goal went in, about former second choice goalkeeper he had. But it did like kind of bring up something in my head. Is like,
Lee saves that.
Well, I didn't. I mean, maybe, but it's more that like Koke currently has absolutely no competition from what we can see, and like I don't know that he's been at his absolute best this year. Like there's been a couple goals that we've talked about of like Koke would want that back, and not saying he's having a bad year by any means, but like, do you think there's anything with the fact that he now has like before it was a pretty neck and neck number 1, number 2, or 1A,
sure.
1B at certain points? Like, is that having any impact on his performance?
Bobblehead night is next week, by the way. I think it very well could, Ryan. I think that I don't want to say complacency and like you mentioned, like competition for the shirt, competition for the spot. But you also have to look at the fact that he's played every single game for us. We saw Castro on the bench again, but we haven't seen him play yet. So, Koke is a player who has had a lot of injuries over his first 2 seasons with Rhode Island and has missed significant amounts of time both of those seasons. Is he, you would want to think that coming off the break, he would not be like physically like rested, not physically rested, like he'd be ready to go. But, are these minutes just kind of adding up for Koke? And, does that play a role in it too?
I don't, it's really funny with a keeper. I don't get as worried about like the minutes from a physical perspective. Like he's not doing a ton when he's out there. It's honestly a bit more like the mental perspective. Like you have to just stay so focused as a keeper for 90 plus minutes a game, and then on top of that, he has to go out there and also be the captain and try to marshal the game as best he can from the back. So it is just tough to be someone who is constantly. Yeah, it is constantly going to play. I mean, it's probably great because you want to play if you're a player, but at the same time, to not have that kind of competition keeping you as sharp as possible, like, I don't know. I'm not saying Koke is like anywhere near the problem on this team, but it did, what you said last night did kind of bring that to mind.
I'll also say that, I think we have to develop a second goalkeeper because of the injury history. Like we have to see Castro in some shape or form. Whether
the fact that we didn't see him against Violence, that one, like that really freaked me out.
Very odd. But I also want to say I don't think, like you said, Koke is definitely not the problem, and Koke made some very fine saves in this one too, but definitely not his best performance.
Yeah, and as we have, and the other like shitty part about this is like we've seen in the past, RIFC when going down a goal usually does not win when they do that. Like it is one of the worst records I think in the league with that. So the fact that we let in what I would very much deem a sloppy goal that we'd want back is just a really bad way to start the game. Even though like Koke does end up making a bunch of good saves, it still puts us down in the hole.
Right. I think that's well said. Luckily, we did see just 5 minutes later, Rhode Island FC level this one. And, we've heard from Kano about game management, whether it's conceding after scoring or scoring after conceding. So I think this was a really good fight from the boys to get back in, and a beautiful ball from Amos that we'll take a look at here.
Thompson again, just outside the 18, well-driven ball, headed in, and it's finds a way to equalize. Too much time, and Hugo Bacharach, in back-to-back matches, finds a goal, second on the year, and it's 1-1.
So we see that beautiful Amos to Hugo connection there. A very RIFC-esque goal there, given up by Sacramento Republic, or the Republic as the broadcasters call them. I love the Star Wars reference there. I know it's different, but I'll stick with it. Sacramento gives Amos loads of space on that one. He was able to play in a beautiful ball, and it's a great back post crash by Hugo there.
Yeah, I mean, we've been gushing about Amos's corners for a little bit now, and it's nice to see his, that kind of touch and that finesse that he's able to put into corners come into play on kind of the, normal standard play as well. Very convenient that an Amos to kind of Hugo magnet ball is starting to show up, because boy, could we use other ways of scoring. So it's nice to get, Hugo on the score sheet. Kind of going back to the lineup discussion, one of the reasons why I was not as much of a fan of Aldair at left wing is going back to last week when we talked about just the front four. The only real person who has scored pretty consistently or even assisted pretty consistently this year was JJ. And we've really seen that. I think Quizera on the right wing is the other person you could put in that conversation. But, having kind of adding layers to our game where someone like an Amos is getting on the assist sheet more, Hugo is kind of chipping in either goals and assists as well. We kind of need to really diversify. Because again, last night, JJ did not have his best game, and
sure. With
that, our offense really sputtered and struggled. So having other players who can actually, contribute in that way is, it's not even just a nice to have at this point; it's absolutely necessary.
For sure. And I think after this goal, the tide did swing back in Sacramento's favor. More chances. There was I don't know if I'm mixing this up at the beginning of the first half or end of the first half or beginning of the second half. There was a clear penalty shout for Sacramento too, that Frank just absolutely trucked the guy in the box. Yep. And there was no call. So I think the damage could have been done a lot more. But it did maintain that 1-1 until the 44th minute when
Matt, I have to cut you off on the timeline here.
Yep.
We did have one of the most preposterous things I've ever watched in a professional soccer game happen in the 39th minute, where Sacramento, while RIFC was breaking on offense, cut to a feed, side-by-side feed of an advertisement, and not even just side-by-side. It made the game significantly smaller than the giant ad that was playing.
I would say it would kind of be like this, right?
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube and you look at our screen size, myself or Ryan was the game size, and the ad was the frozen replay that we have at the end of the replay clip that we have there. And there were 6 or 7 of these throughout the game, Ryan?
It was I fell asleep, so I saw a couple, but absolutely nightmare stuff from the broadcast.
Yeah, like I said, I did like the announcers, but the broadcast, ESPN production, I don't know if it's ESPN or those guys pulling the strings on this, but very cheeky to do it on an RAFC break.
Oh, yeah, especially when there was a hydration break. Again, those can happen because of heat, which last night they said it was on the broadcast, but 0 ads during that. We had to listen to those two guys filibuster for 3 minutes versus shove all those ads there. Getting used to it in the World Cup, might as well just get it over with, especially when, again, on an RAFC break, you are going to make that ad take over basically the entire screen. So preposterous stuff, absolute Bush League production. Please clean that up. Either Sacramento, ESPN, whoever is deciding these things.
There you go. Back on the timeline now, 41st minute. This is the goal that gave Sacramento the ultimate lead and final score.
Ricketts and plenty of USL Championship experience on that roster. And if they win and Spokane drops points, there could be a chance. Here's a chance by Almalongo! Oh, goodness, ripping the net, 44th minute. Hello, Malongo, welcome back. His first USL Championship goal. We've seen him do it in the Cup. And Koke Vegas can't believe it, 2-1.
Oh, what a beauty from my Almalongo.
Koke looked pretty pissed after that one. First off, it is ultimately a great strike. I thought a few times in this one, Nick Scardina got caught way too high defensively, where he could have been back. And then Stillman kind of gets put in the mixer on that one. Again, but way too much time, way too much space, and a hell of a hit for the second goal.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier with the previous goal, like just not getting tight enough to the guy. I think Grant really bit on what seemed like he was going to go baseline. And you have to respect his speed. He's a very quick guy. And Grant's obviously not the quickest at this point. So, he has to kind of almost cheat a little bit. But in doing so, he allowed him to cut back onto his more dominant foot, like with zero pressure on him. So really tough goal to concede, especially, you're getting close to halftime. You just did the hard work to claw it back. You can reset and go again. And you then end up going to halftime down 2-1 instead of even.
Right. I talked about the game management after conceding the first goal and getting the equalizer there. But I know we've talked about on here before how a pet peeve of both of ours is, conceding in the first 5 or last 5 of a half. This kind of takes us into that time frame. And I think, like you mentioned, you go into this 1-1 at the half, and it's probably playing out a little differently in the second half. So whether it's a mental lapse or physical lapses, this is unfortunately a pattern in a type of goal we've seen RIFC concede over the last, I would say 2 seasons more so than the first, but something that we definitely need to keep out, get into the half level.
Yep. Yeah, spot on.
All right, so here are your halftime stats. Sacramento had 64% possession to 36 for RIFC. We did outshoot them 7-3 with 2 on target for Sacramento, 1 for Rhode Island. 2 big chances for Sacramento with 85% passing accuracy. And like you mentioned in the opening, Ryan, 66% passing accuracy. Usually we see that number high 70s or in the 80s for this team. Very much alludes to the very sloppy half of play that we saw there. Pretty clean game on the fall front, 4-2 in the first half, and Sacramento had 7 corners to our 4. They have a waste company as their corner kick sponsor. Do you think they get trash bags? Big disposal reel.
I hope so. I mean, what's the point of having a trash company, a garbage company, if it's not going to get you free trash bags?
Yep. Tyler says, look at these stats. Rhode Island must have had a strong second half and at least tied this up. Oh, Tyler. So naive.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, so I mentioned the possession and just like very sloppy 66% passing accuracy. Like, it was one of those games you're like, you just need someone out there who can kind of step on the ball and give you a little bit of control. And it just seemed like we had nobody who had the ability to do that. We had a lot of guys who looked like they had no clue what the person they were passing to was trying to do, especially in the final third. And again, it's another game where 7 shots, 1 on target. Like, we're not making the keeper work at all. And I think it's really becoming a problem for this team.
We kept hitting that in both halves, the back post cross in there, straight to Danny Vidiello. He could walk up, catch it, no problem. There was nobody there, no one there to challenge it.
Yeah. Yeah, that, and then like just kind of a lot of shots getting blocked. Just, again, we're not creating clear shooting opportunities, and I know people are getting mad, but big chances, we're not creating those for ourselves, and it makes it a lot harder to score a goal when there's just a brick wall of people in front of you that you have to shoot into, gaggle of dudes, and or try to shoot over. And like a great keeper like Vidiello in this league is gonna kind of really have his way in the box with it. So it's just a team that didn't look like they had a real clear idea of how they were going to score and how they were going to win this game.
So clearly we have no highlights to display from the second half. As
I was bamboozled when I woke up and saw that the scoreline was the exact same.
Oh man. And I think it was Hans that said it in our chat too. Like, Sacramento very easily could have put this away 3-1, 4-1, if not more. But there was just a lot more of the same. I think what gets really interesting when you look at this one too is a lot of the substitutions. We saw in the 58th Quizera come on for Sanchez, Pitti come on for Scardina. We saw Dwayne come on for Noah. And then the 82nd, Connor was checking to see if you were still watching, Matt Jean, president of the Danny Rivera fan club. Danny Rivera comes on for Leo Alfonso, and Kevin Vang comes in for Amos Shapiro-Thompson. So, I'm going to talk about depth a little bit later when we get to some of the listener takes on this one. But this was just once those first subs came on, when you saw Quizera and Pitti come on and take off I know Aldair was playing wing, but you see them take off basically 2 defenders. The shape got a little ragged. It was, we were throwing numbers forward, but I guess it's time to just click over to the full-time stats. If you look at it, the 11 shots shots to 7, with just 3 on target from that 11 is just hit and hope. So I think that was a big part of it. And, before I get your takes on, the rest of the second half, Ryan, I'll run down these full-time stats. Sacramento had a XG of 1.23, RIFC with 1.36, 52% possession to 48. We outshot them 11-7, 4 on target for Sacramento to just the 3 for Rhode Island. 2 big chances each, 81% pass accuracy to 75. So it did improve in the second half for Rhode Island. Sacramento won 57% of their tackles. We won 71, 22 fouls on Sacramento to 12 for Rhode Island, 7 corners to 3. So I know you broke this down color-wise based on your format and the check marks and all that. But, any other thoughts you have on that second half and your formula to success here?
Yeah, I mean, we went 2 for 4. So, that's not 4 for 4. Yeah, at the end of the day, both teams created about 1 XG, and Sacramento happened to outperform and get that second goal. And again, this just goes back into the fact that, this team just can't let themselves get into a hole going down that first goal, and then especially kind of letting them go back up, because it's not a team that does very well with chasing, especially with the resources that we had available on the bench as well. So just all in all, a game that. Again, and you can talk about the travel, you can talk about 2 games in a week. There's a lot of factors there, but it's not the first time we've seen this team kind of go out there and look like they just, you don't want to say weren't prepared, but they just weren't as up for it as we've seen them in many other games. Last game, quite frankly, I think one of the reasons why Clay might have gotten hurt is he was flying around in that first half of the Orange County game. Like, there was just a real level of energy and intensity, and we did not see that in the slightest in this game. And obviously a little bit of that's like just how Clay plays, but I think the whole team kind of had a spark, had a bit of energy, where in this one it just looked like, quite frankly, a team that got off of a cross-country flight in the middle of the week, but also a team that didn't necessarily know how the pieces that were out there were going to come together to score goals.
Sure. Pawtucket Jay wants to know how he lost a corner in those stats. We had 4 on the first half slide, so you might need to
half asleep.
You might need to consult Claude, Ryan. I don't know.
Hey, these are hand done by yours truly, as always.
And Timmy wants to know: isn't less possession a recipe for success, which would make us 3 out of 4 on the recipe? But that scored first being the big one that knocked us back.
Gonna be honest, I couldn't remember if it was 50 or 45, and I just split the difference there. It was like 2 a.m. when I woke up and started doing this, so my bad, guys.
Kiss it, touch it, get all hot and bothered. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My tombstone.
Matt Jean says you might have had too much Jack Daniels already.
I hope so. I wish. I'm excited for that. I would like more information, Matt Jean, if you have any more to share. But I'm very excited for that.
All right, and then finally on that one, Amos Shapiro Thompson was your FOTMOB man of the match with an 8.1 rating and the 1 assist. Amos, Hugo, and maybe Karifa Yao, 3 bright spots outside of that in the otherwise very dim performance.
Yeah, quite frankly, one of those games I am going to forget about, hopefully very quickly, and then remember it like randomly throughout the season and just be like, wow, that game, kind of like the Indy game last year away, that game just like absolutely sucked, and it's just like, let's just move past this one.
Sure. Timmy's saying he wasn't calling you out. Just think we should have won the game based on the recipe. But I think it shows the weight of the conceding first.
I mean, as we've seen in the stats, I genuinely think it's like the number one kind of piece of the information. I think we've won like 1 time ever in the history of Rhode Island FC when we haven't scored the first goal. It's like that dire.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Again, especially with a team that doesn't look like they have a lot of different ways that they can score goals. Again, nice that they're layering in the corners and stuff like that, but like it's kind of like JJ or bust right now, and that is really not good.
That's true. Very, very true. We'll switch gears to your thoughts with RIFC in 3 and good, bad, and ugly. Before I do that, because I know I'm going to read them when I scroll. If you haven't already checked out Matt Hand's Riptide Report and Timmy's player ratings blogs, make sure you go do that on the all new updated TideTalkRI.com. So we'll start in the Defiant 1636 Discord with one I do want to spend some time on, and our good friend Andrew Milko. His good was Amos and Hugo again. Bad, I don't get it. Are we good or are we bad? I know we've had that discussion, amongst the Tide Talk crew, Ryan. We've kind of had it on here, a couple different times throughout the years. Are we a good team? Are we a bad team? Are we somewhere in the middle? What is it?
I'm not ready to declare either way. I think we're better than our record, but we're at a point where I have to stop saying. It's like really hard to continue to say that when we just continue to not pick up points. Like the one thing we kept having in our pocket was like, well, we have games in hand. Like, we could if we win all of them, we'll be back up to this place. And it's like, or we could technically win none of them, and we're even worse position than we are today. And it's just a team that like we can put up all the different underlying metrics and we can, have a really good team on paper, but like you have to actually win the games on the pitch.
Yeah, Timmy and I were going back and forth earlier today about, he said he thinks we're going to make the playoffs, but he wouldn't be surprised if we didn't. I'm kind of the other way around. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs with this current run of form. I wouldn't be surprised if we did, if we do sneak in. I definitely think we see our run of Eastern Conference Finals appearances come to an end this season. It's a very frustrating team to watch that keeps making the same mistakes repeatedly.
Well, yeah. So there's a lot there. It's hard to say. Like, I mean, granted, right, we're in 9th place. I don't think any of the 3 teams under us are going to catch us by any means. Like, there are 3 very bad teams. A lot of it's going to depend. Like, does Miami do what they've done last year, where like they looked good in the beginning, fell off? Like, are we going to kind of pick up steam like we have in the past? Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we kind of again end up in that 6th through 8th spot and make the playoffs. The other shitty part about this is like, okay, that to me is not a success. Like, that is not a team that performed well all season. And then as we saw last year, Pittsburgh won the championship, scoring 1 goal the entire playoffs. So like there are ways that you can do this.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, like I still am not going to say, like, I think it's hard to, even Pittsburgh last year, it's hard to be like, that was a really great team. Like, I don't think they were a great team. I think they got 3 coin flips right in a row and happened to have a keeper who was standing on his head for the playoffs. But like, it's also kind of the thing with American sports where like a team can just get hot at the right time and win it. Whereas like Louisville, who last year historically was the most dominant team we've ever seen, they get a really fluky game and they get knocked out. And it's one of those things where you then say, okay, who at the end of the season, who do you want to be? Would you rather have had Louisville's season where they were the most dominant team ever in the league but lost in the first round, or RIFC, who were barely snuck into the playoffs and made it to Eastern Conference Finals but didn't ever look particularly good the entire season? And you kind of have those debates, and I wrote a blog about it at the end of the season last year because I felt really weird about it. So yeah, there's a lot of like you can debate at the end of the day, but like this is a team that for the resources, for the time that this core group has spent together, I think that's another thing that still frustrates me, that like why us having a really slow start for the 3rd straight year, I think is like super unacceptable. The fact that we're seeing like a lot of the same problems we've seen for 3 straight years, like is really unacceptable. So that's where like it bothers me. Like you can have bad runs of form, you can have issues, but like the fact that you could kind of almost write the story for the rest of the season again, like that bothers me.
Yeah, when I was thinking about Milko's question here, I thought about what Pawtucket Jay asked in the chat, so I wanted to bring this up as part of it. Do you think there will be any players added this season? And that goes back to Milko's, are we good or are we bad? And I think we're trending towards the lower half of that equation there. But I think we are overripe to bring in a new signing or 2. I think right now, if you look at the current makeup of the team, and something we called out early on this, after the offseason of like, I think we're really thin in some spots, and a couple injuries could really take us into different spots. So you look at Clay being out, you look at Haraval being out repeatedly. Joe has been on the injured report for the last couple of weeks as well. We are an Amos or a Hugo injury away from seeing Grant Stoneman back in midfield, and we've seen how that plays out before. I don't think it's good at all. On the flip side of that, we are also a Yao or a Stoneman injury away from seeing, I don't know, play center back. Right? Like, look, we don't have the Rio Hope Gund option anymore. We don't have Imam Mbika, who we never really replaced. We're a JJ injury away from seeing Leo up top, Noah up top, and I know you were hoping to see a Noah start, but I think he was pretty abysmal last night. Very much a pedestrian and a passenger in this game. So I think that we are 1 or 2 injuries away. I mean, we talked about Koke earlier. We've not seen a backup keeper play. Who knows what Castro can offer? Who knows what that looks like, because he hasn't gotten the option, the opportunity to, showcase what he has. But I think this team is 1 or 2 injuries away from being really bad, based on Milko's question. And I think, Pawtucket Jay asked, will we be adding any players? I think we are past due to add some depth to this lineup.
Yeah, I would be unbelievably shocked if there was not 1, if not 2 or 3 signings. We have seen Kano pretty consistently throughout the past 2 years add kind of mid-season players. I think one of his favorite things to do is kind of grab that fringe MLS guy around this time that isn't really getting the minutes they want.
Well, I know something else that would get you really hot and bothered if we went out and grabbed like a Kel Jennings type player.
I was about to say there's also a guy who apparently doesn't have a team anymore in Japan.
But I've said it on here before. I think the Maxi Rodriguez experience in Rhode Island, it might sway a player like that not to come play for this club if an offer was made, because who knows how it's going to shape out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not as concerned about that, even though I hated the way the Maxi experience. I think one thing that Kano seems to be not learning, but took away from last year is that roster was just too big. He was having to leave some pretty big names off. Probably was pretty expensive to maintain. We had some Mabika,
especially with Maxi on there.
Maxi, Mabika, there were guys who probably weren't very cheap and were not playing or weren't even making the game day squad. So I think Kano has specifically kept it tighter. I mean, it's easier to manage. You have a smaller group. Most guys are playing every week. You have less tough conversations that way. You can kind of rotate a little bit between a core group. But then you get into an injury crisis like this, and you're really starting to get to that couple of guys in the roster that you might not have really had in your plans to play week in and week out, or really ever. So yeah, I do think we're at that point where there's been enough time to evaluate kind of what this roster looks like, how it's performing, and what additions could really make it, and then really explore the market with, I guess Sean Carey's still the assistant GM in a way. That's the other thing. We have 2 guys doing a lot of jobs at the same time, which is another potential problem. So all in all, it's a team that needs to do something.
Yeah, and Pawtucket Jay kind of alludes to your point too in the chat as well. I wonder if spending the last few years the way we did is affecting this season. Certainly could be, for sure. And I think you are right. It's probably MLS fringe guys, which could be hit or miss. Could see a recall after 1-2. You never know with the Matthew Cochran experience that we also endured. So there are some caveats to getting those guys, and it's very. It's difficult. So we definitely need a little bit more firepower outside of JJ Williams to carry this team into the playoff spots and potentially through a postseason run. But like I said, we are 1 midfield injury away right now from seeing Grant Stoneman back in the midfield, and that puts a whole flux on defense and the back line and what that looks like. So it's definitely a snowball ripple effect that could happen if 1 or 2 injuries goes against this team and what we may see.
I would love to see a Morris Dugan level or Dugan level signing that performs like that in the offensive end. That's what I would love.
You have to hit on those. That's
in fair, that was one of the best signings we've ever made. So
for sure. Thank you, Andrew Milko, for those points and get us talking about all of that. And his RIFC in 3 was late night losing. We also had Matt Jean wanted to know how many commercials will air during your show. I want to make sure I'm ready for the mini box. So we will switch to mini box for you, Matt Jean. This is a proud advertisement by Jack Daniels. No, not really. Just so we don't get sued or anything. But that was definitely annoying to live through, to watch through, and all of that. So I do have
to really make it clear that last episode, me being a little more less concerned about Big Chicken, there was no advertising shenanigans happening there. That was me being kind of duped in the moment, and that was on me for not staying diligent. There was no advertisements passing hands there. So
all right, man, owning up. I love it. Pawtucket Jay's got a good point. If we don't get any players added, I want a second bobblehead there. Is that too much to ask? I think it's a relatively very good request by the real Pawtucket Jay.
Well, I would love to ask the chat, if that is the case, who do you guys want to see, or what do you want to see as the bobblehead?
That's a good one. Who do you want to see? What do you want to see as a second bobblehead? I think I want to see Irvin with pyro in hand. I think that would be mine. How about you, Ryan?
I would like if there was like a little button that actually like shot the little pyro off. That'd be fun. You know, like a Clay or a JJ would
not
be
doing it.
Yeah. A Clay or a JJ, you gotta say. But I'm trying to think of something that's more of a thing than a person. Come back to me once we get to the people's in the chat. Yeah, we got JJ in the chat.
Yeah, I think JJ. I think Amos would be a cool one.
Yep.
I think his local ties and meteoric rise this year, the way he's been playing, the form he's in.
Speaking of local ties, the Vang gang.
You might have just nailed it.
Yeah. Kevin Vang bobblehead night would go absolutely crazy.
We've got a Hugo from Nate Ski in the chat too, so definitely plenty of options there. I think all good choices. But if we don't get any players, RIFC, let's get that second bobblehead in. Like I said, we didn't have many people write in, and I don't blame them. Our last only other comment goes to Clayton Novak on Facebook. As JJ goes, so goes RIFC. He's in pretty bad form the past couple of matches. He'll come out of it. Lots more soccer to be played.
I'm just laughing at the all of a sudden we're going to see a tweet that's just like second bobblehead night. We're all going to go, damn it, no more players.
That's true. Damn, right? That does happen with there. Damn, you're right.
We'll see.
Smash that like
we'll get
button.
both,
Give us
guys.
something to be happy about.
Yeah.
Bang gang, rise up. All right, like I said, that kind of takes us home on all of the takes. I don't blame you guys for not writing in, but again, if you would like to share your thoughts with us, even after a bad loss, we're here to Misery Loves Company, and we will read them together. So check us out. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media accounts and share your thoughts post-match. Thank you to Timmy, Quadros, and all the other Tide Talk guys who didn't write in. Really appreciate it. Really helping us with the quality content here.
That's incredible.
All right, next up for Island FC, we are back home on Saturday, the 11th, 7:30 kickoff versus Jackson Lee and Brooklyn FC in the USL Cup, the Prinks Tires Cup, Group 5, Round 4. Not mathematically out of this one yet, Ryan, but a lot of help needs to go our way to advance. Not looking pretty good in this. We've seen some injuries. We saw Hugo take a knock too. This could be a very interesting lineup based on what we see. Although we have seen Kano in these moments before when we are not mathematically eliminated, still field one of the strongest 11s that he possibly can.
Oh, I want to be absolutely clear. He's playing the best 11 on Saturday.
And Santo, yes, this is a USL Championship club. Rhode Island FC. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, and maybe you're just trolling us as we did not look like one last night in Sacramento. Could be that.
I think this is the second episode in a row we got someone in the chat that's just like, hey, like
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Canadian Premier League fan here. Hope you guys grow bigger than MLS. Well, you found your USL Championship team. Love that you found the stream. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to see you in the chat. We go live at 8:30 the day after each and every match, so you can join us on here and keep up with the action. Awesome stuff, Santa. Love it. Love seeing it.
Yeah, so I am looking at the tables. That was good filibustering for me. Gonna be a long. It's a tough route for us to. So basically, Hartford need to lose to Westchester, and we need to beat Brooklyn. That would confirm us in first place. For everyone's reminder on how this tournament works, basically it's only the group winners who are guaranteed to go through, and then one of the best second place teams. Looks like there's so the most points we're on 5 points now. So the most we could get is 8. There's already a bunch of teams in second place that could easily get to 9. So it would just be a lot of stuff has to go our way, but the clearest path is our pals in Westchester beating Hartford.
I'd love to see it. Like I said, is that in Hartford or in Westchester?
Good question.
Because I still stand by Westchester.
It is Trinity Health Stadium, unfortunately.
Boo. That sucks. So as we talk about this one, enter your score predictions for RIFC versus Brooklyn in the chat. We'd love to see them, love to hear them. We both mentioned, I think we're going to see a very strong 11. We are the next to last third place team currently, Matt Jean says he thinks. So not boding well. We need some help. We'll probably see a strong 11. Go Westchester. But it'll be good to be back home. Good to see Jackson again. Brooklyn's pretty bad, but they've had some pretty good results. So it'll also, in a competition that they're already knocked out of, be interesting to basically
Brooklyn
they're technically still alive, right?
Yeah, they're in second place. They could get to 9, which is a pretty healthy.
They have to go for it too then. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how this one shapes up.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. So they're in second place in our group on 6 points. They beat the Cosmos 3-0, which is what is really dumb about this entire tournament is that they're uneven groups, so you don't actually play everyone. You get like a random draw of people in your groups. Some groups also have an extra team in them. Like I generally don't get how this is like mathematically fine, but like so the fact that Brooklyn got the Cosmos, we didn't get the Cosmos. Cosmos seemed to be pretty damn terrible. But so Brooklyn beat them. They lost to Hartford, and then they kicked the shit out of Brooklyn out of Hearts of Pine 5-1 last match. So.
That's going to be the one that comes back and haunts us for sure.
I mean, that was always the problem with this format is like you kind of needed to go either undefeated. You had to go undefeated and hopefully, honestly, just like win out to guarantee top of the group. And yeah, that loss to Portland was really, really bad on our end.
All right, guys, if you haven't already, enter your score prediction in the chat. We've got Pawtucket J with 3-2 us. Tyler's got a 1-all with RAFC on penalty kicks. Timmy's got 2-0 Rhode Island. Quadros has 2-1 RAFC. I love this from Tyler. I still get emails from Westchester after we went there last year. I need something from those boys. Pawtucket J says last time we played Brooklyn, they helped us get out of a rut. Hope that happens again. Matt Jean responded, out of a rut? Are we still in it? We might be. He wanted to know why we can't have the Cosmos as well. And Timmy says, remember how none of this would have been an issue if we just beat one of the worst USL 1 teams in May. We should have beat Portland. We should have crushed their Hearts of Pine, but unfortunately did not. Nateski's got a 2-1 RAFC. I think it's 2-1 as well. I'm with Nateski on this one. How do you see this one shaping up, Ryan?
I think I'm also in the 1-1 camp. I actually think Brooklyn might beat us on penalties.
Oof. Cool Will's got a 2-0 RAFC win. I think we win, but I don't think it's enough. I think Hartford has their way with Westchester, and we are still one of the worst third-place teams, and we do not advance in this competition. Do you see us advancing?
In my little world, we don't even get to second.
Oh, that's
place,
right. You said we're losing. So
yeah, definitely not. I mean, but I would say even if we did win, I do not see us advancing.
Yep. So,
but all right, again, this is the tricky thing, right? Like anything can happen, as we saw in Portland, and things could shake up where RSC wins the group, and all of a sudden we're back into a playoff format. So, there's a lot of scenarios, and like Kano has to go for it. And he was asked in the press conference that we were in last, like, how do you balance this, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's a competition we can win. Like, we have to go for it. So, he's absolutely going to put out a strong 11.
True.
As strong 11 as the physio
as
allows.
We can.
Yeah.
Chris Peterson's got a 3-0 RFC win, sending Jackson Lee packing again. Don't be harsh on Jackson.
Yeah,
we love Jackson.
This is a pro Jackson podcast,
right? We've kept it pretty clean tonight if the Peterson kids are watching. So, we do love Jackson. So, it'll be good to see him again. But like I said, I just don't think there's enough for us to get through on this one. Any other big announcements or anything else you want to get off your chest before we end this one, my friend?
No, I'm gonna get crazy here and say hope we play better on Saturday.
That's fair.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, 2 things from me. Again, if you haven't already checked out the all-new TideTalkRI.com, created by our very own Ryan Healy, make sure you check that out. It is a beautiful-looking website on desktop or on mobile. It just looks great. Tickers, good stuff, very animated, very eye-catching. Great job, my friend. Go read the blogs if you haven't already. And if you are not following us on our social media accounts, make sure you do that. We've got a pretty big announcement coming in the next few weeks. I'll leave that as a little teaser. Very good stuff for the Tide Talk crew. We'll let you know all about that in a couple of weeks. So make sure you're following us to stay up to date on all of the RAFC content and Tide Talk news that we have for you.
Listen, RFC, they might be trying to sign players or whatnot. Tide Talk is always scheming on something. I'll tell you that much, folks.
We are always up to shenanigans. As Pawtucket J says, up it smash the like button if you have not already. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky, everywhere you scroll for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt, for Ryan. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Tide.
Up the Tide.